It's a real pleasure to speak with you, especially after your great speech about colorful communities, about gentrification, and about this great connections between weird social communities and cryptocurrency. It was a brilliant idea.
Oh, thank you.
It was great. This introduction was brilliant, and I want to ask you about one phrase you said about colorful communities, that you like colorful communities, you like weird social communities. Can you explain what do you mean by these colorful communities?
I think human experience is incredibly varied, but for the most part we only experience a very tiny part of that, a very narrow range of expression and creativity. Because a lot of expression and creativity is filtered through mainstream media, through corporate environments, through marketing departments. And so you get this very narrow range of what it means to be normal. I'm not very interested in normal. I'm much more interested in a broader range of human expression. And I find that many of the most creative people I meet are not normal by most people's expectations. They have ideas that are surprising, that are exciting, that are different. And that's where you get a lot of the creativity. And so to me, that's what it means to be surrounded by a colorful community, meaning having a great diversity of experiences, a great diversity of backgrounds, which then brings a diversity of opinions and expression and creativity. And people come up with excellent ideas that you never expect because they have a way of looking at a problem from a perspective that's different than yours. So that's where we find most innovation and creativity, at least in my experience. So I'd like to explore that, and I think I found that in the Bitcoin community. But even before that, on the internet, in the open source community, in many of the places I've lived, I've always been attracted to that kind of variety.
Okay, I guess. So we came across the idea of gentrification. It's the problem even for Polish cities. So we got this former slums, which are now quite fancy, and rich people want to live in this neighborhood. So how we can connect it to cryptocurrencies and to Bitcoin? So Bitcoin will gentrificate when it will be available as a payment in, for example, Starbucks?
Well, I mean, not necessarily, because gentrification isn't just the arrival of certain people. It's the departure of the creative people who made a neighborhood interesting in the first place. And I think one of the interesting things about cryptocurrency is you could have people from mainstream, people who represent maybe a more narrow perspective, right? They're not necessarily interested in some of the libertarian ideas or some of the ideas about freedom or some of the ideas about free software and Creative Commons culture and open source communities. These things are not very meaningful, right, to a lot of people. They may be interested in cryptocurrency for other reasons, but their arrival doesn't mean the departure of all of the creative people who are part of this community. So I think that's one of the interesting things about cryptocurrency, and I hope one of the reasons our community doesn't become gentrified is because more people can arrive and get involved without making it impossible for the people with a certain ideology, a certain set of principles to have to leave.
So when it will, for example, so the Bitcoin community will jump to another niche or something like that?
I don't think so. I think we can all coexist. I think you can have a cryptocurrency and a broad range of cryptocurrencies that serve multiple different communities and multiple different perspectives.
And you stressed out that many people say that we should have blockchain over Bitcoin, and even Polish government have something, a kind of this opinion that blockchain is important and Bitcoin is in the background. And you disagreed with it. So can you explain why blockchain isn't more important than Bitcoin?
I think because people misunderstand what a blockchain is and why it exists. The purpose of a blockchain is to create an environment in which decentralization can happen, where a blockchain is just one component of what makes cryptocurrency interesting. And it's the components that allows you to decentralize control so that not one organization has control over the system. All of the interesting properties of Bitcoin come from decentralization. And so if you take the blockchain and you don't use it to do something that is decentralized, then you lose all of the interesting properties. So people say, cryptocurrencies are a form of digital money. They're not. We already have digital money. The zloty is digital money. 98% of zloty doesn't exist in paper. It exists only as numbers on a spreadsheet. What's the difference between a digital zloty and a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the other cryptocurrencies? The difference is no one can control the cryptocurrency. Someone controls the national currency. And with that control come many of the disadvantages. So seeing another blockchain project, which is controlled by a single organization and centralized, there's nothing new there. There's nothing innovative. We already have that. It's called a database.
Most of ICOs are quite centralized nowadays.
Yes, and they're quite boring. I haven't seen too many interesting ideas come up. They're a great way to raise money for startups, but they're not, the vast majority of ICOs are not doing anything innovative.
Yes, the key of the existence is marketing, so it's just what you said.
I think for many organizations that are doing ICOs, the primary reason for it is fundraising. And in order to not make that subject to securities law, they disguise it as a utility token. But in the end, it's mostly about fundraising. That's not a very good use. I mean, it's great for funding startups. But, I don't think most of those startups are doing things that are very innovative. We'll see.
So what do you think about stablecoins? So when government wants to meet the cryptocurrencies, they come across the idea of stablecoin, coins with fixed value. What do you think about that idea?
I think stablecoins are an oxymoron. I think they are a contradiction in terms. To me, with a limited understanding of economics that I have, I'm not an economist, but to me, value has to do with scarcity, it has to do with market activity, it has to do with demand, it has to do with velocity. And none of those things are stable. So stability in a currency is an illusion. Even currencies that maintain their exchange rate may all be losing value simultaneously, so you can't see that they're losing value. But they're losing value in the form of inflation, in the form of purchasing power. And so I don't know of any system of money that is stable. Economies are dynamic things. So I don't think you can make a stable coin. You certainly can't make something stable just by saying, this is stable. Because if the market disagrees, then any mechanism you have to create stability will be used by the market to profit, and you're going to lose that stability. And we've seen that happen. There's many countries where, for example, they connect their currency to another currency, like peg against the US dollar or something like that. And that only works when those two can move in a small range. But if one of them starts devaluing fast, eventually traders will arbitrage the difference and that connection will break. And when it breaks badly. So I don't think there's any economic basis for stable coins.
Thank you. And I'm a subscriber of your YouTube channel, and
Thank you.
I watched almost all of your videos, even from 2 years ago. And I want to ask you one simple question, because I'm not sure. What do you think about it? Do we should try to popularize to make Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies more mainstream?
Should we try to?
Yes, should we?
I think it's important to try to educate people on why these cryptocurrencies may matter, why they might have relevance to their lives. But I don't think that you should try to market or sell cryptocurrency technology to people who don't need it. And to people who do need it, you don't need to market or sell it. So in the end, I think it's more important to explain and educate. And if people think that's something that's useful or interesting, they're going to find it by themselves. They won't need to be persuaded.
You've said in one of your books, you said that if we get something that could, ecosystem that could work without blockchain, it doesn't need blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So can you say more about that? Because we got a lot of tokens, we got a lot of projects. When we got a utility token, but this kind of project can work better, sometimes even better, without any blockchain and other hype.
Yeah, I mean, again, the number of applications that require a blockchain is very small. There are specific applications where you need something that gives you open access, global access without borders, a platform that is neutral, that is not controlled by anyone, and that is resistant to censorship. One of those applications is money. For money, that set of characteristics is really important. It creates a type of money that is sound, that is not controlled by anyone, where you limit the amount of corruption, inflation, confiscation, censorship, and control. And so for money, those properties are really useful. For blockchain, technology is really useful in that case. But how many applications are there? Outside of money? Not that many. There aren't that many applications where you need that. There are some applications that require immutability, where you can record something and make sure it never changes. Again, it's a limited set of applications. The truth is that this is still a fairly narrow technology. We're still going to discover other applications in the future. But I think there's a tendency to try to apply blockchain to everything, and that doesn't make any sense.
Yes. And I get last technical question. Do you believe in the power of Lightning Network, and will it boost Bitcoin, in your opinion?
I mean, it's not a matter of belief. I wouldn't look at Lightning Network as something I believe in or don't believe in. I use it. It works. It has applications, and I think it offers a unique set of technical characteristics that give us a whole set of applications that you can't do with just with the Bitcoin blockchain technology. I think it works very well with a blockchain like Bitcoin's, and it gives us a lot of new opportunities. So, for example, to do microtransactions very, very fast with very low fee, to increase the privacy of blockchains. So for those applications, yes. But it's not magical. It's just a technology. And you know, I don't have belief in it. I simply use it, and as long as it works, it works. And if it didn't work, then we fix it, we change it, we do something different. There's no commitment here, ideological commitment, to choosing one solution over another. I think we should try many different ways of solving problems, and if something works, we keep it, and if it doesn't, we throw it away.
What about block increase? Block size increase?
I think a block size increase is useful too, under the right
32
circumstances.
32 megabytes?
I think 32 megabytes puts more pressure on centralization at this moment, and it's not needed for capacity. So in my opinion, I think that would be perhaps more useful later in the maturity of this technology. But to me, it's not a choice of one or the other. Mm-hmm. I think we need to use all of the tools that are available. The question is, which one do we do first, and which one has the most potential for development? Right now, I think the increase in the block size we have with segregated witness plus Lightning Network is a better engineering approach to solving problems without creating pressure for centralization. But I could be wrong, and it's okay. It's okay to also try the other way. And there's no point in fighting. Why don't we just try both and see which one works? I'm quite okay with that.
Thank you. And the last question would be simple. You've gained a lot of respect from community because you've never predicted the price of Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrency. And, you know, a lot of people say that it will be $1 million, it will be near to zero. And why don't you try to say how much Bitcoin will be worth?
Well, for two reasons. First, because that's not my area of expertise. I'm not an economist, I'm not a trader, I'm not a financier. I'm a computer scientist. I'm a technology expert, and that's my area of expertise. So I don't see what my opinion about what the price will do, I don't see how that's relevant to anyone. I think if I do make a price prediction, the chance of being wrong is much greater than the chance of being right. And in my personal experience trading, you know, every now and then I decide, oh, this feels like a good time to buy, or this feels like a good time to sell, and that's a personal experience. Sometimes I make the right choice. Sometimes I make a really bad choice. But at least it only affects me. I think it would be irresponsible to give other people that advice. But the second reason is more important, because I don't think it matters. I don't think price is as important as technology. The price is great to get people excited. It generates investment in the space. It allows people to fund startups. That's fantastic. But if you only focus on the price, you're missing the point that this is a very powerful technology that changes the way we interact with each other and we interact with the state in terms of money. It changes the way we view trust and converts it into more of a network protocol. It changes the way the internet works. And all of those things are far more interesting to me as to whether Bitcoin goes to some crazy price or goes to zero. I don't think Bitcoin is going to zero. I don't know if Bitcoin is going to $1 billion. Bitcoin is probably going to be somewhere between 0 and $1 billion. But it could be anywhere in that range. And more importantly, these types of predictions are useless unless you attach a date and you say,
timestamp.
A timestamp. Otherwise, yeah, sure, it's going to be somewhere in that range, somewhere over the next 25 years. That says nothing to anyone. In fact, the best prediction you can make is one with no time frame and the broadest range possible. Then you have a chance of being correct. So I'm not going to try. I don't think it's very interesting.
Andreas, thank you very much for interview. It was a real honor to speak with you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.